speaking of material, I put this up here, Patrick, before we even started the webinar, because a lot of times not everybody really understands. I think they know that they get live training here at American Business Systems, but they don't know all of the other resources, especially for marketing. Now, I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but I thought we'd start with this. And why don't you kind of talk about how this originated and why it's so important with all this marketing material?
Well, when Lynn and I started doing medical billing, this was back in the late 80s, early 90s that we were doing the actual billing. Now we don't do that as a company now, but we did back then. And you should have seen some of the stuff I developed, Eric. I'm talking about back in the dot matrix printer days. I was printing marketing materials that looked really homemade. And so I tell people, look, there's no reason why you couldn't start your own medical billing business without us. Obviously, we did. It's a little harder nowadays because it's a little more involved. But the point is, if you develop your own marketing materials, folks, it just doesn't go over real well with doctors because they're used to seeing some pretty nice stuff, from the pharmaceutical reps, for example, and other people. So what we've developed, as you can see on the right there, all those 8.5 by 11 flyers, those are slick, full color flyers that are designed professionally. And as you can see, they all kind of tie together. Now, remember, our name, American Business Systems, is not on any of our materials. In fact, we print your name and your logo on those flyers as a part of your license. And so you're going to look like a unified, even though this is not a franchise, this is better than a lot of franchises have from marketing materials, Eric. Then we got the postcards up there as well. The postcards are a part of our auto card system, which we'll talk a little bit about, I think, a little later. And then they're in the bottom left-hand corner. You can't tell from that picture very well, but that's a nice fold-out folder that holds all these flyers and things. When you take back your proposal, you can put it inside that, and it looks really professional. Has a place for your business card and so forth. And then I know you mentioned some of the books earlier, and I know we're going to talk about some of those a little bit later, but yeah, we've got books that you can actually brand with your name on the cover of the book. And so that's what those 4 books are that you see there.
Patrick, matter of fact, I've got one of those folders right here.
Yeah.
And like Patrick said, there's a spot right in here that you can, I know it's kind of maybe a glare. I'm trying to take the glare back off of it as best I can.
Eric, why don't you stop showing your screen, and the video will be big there where they can see that. That's a good.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Good. I didn't know you had one of those.
I do. I was going to just say that you could put one of those business cards like right in there. It's right there. So yeah, you bet. So it's a little bit better picture than the one that we have there on the screen. So it's always good to kind of see some things in real time there. So it's actually real material.
I've got a book here too. Yeah. Here's a copy of one of the books. Let's see. I've got 2 of them. In fact, this is the new Thriving Medical Practice, which you can actually have your name on the front cover. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And then, of course, we've got a new book that we're going to talk about a little bit later, too, that is just about to be published. Well, it is published. This is a proof copy, but you'll be able to brand your name information on the back of that cover as well. So,
yeah, and then, yeah, you bet. Now, just to let everybody know, I think I was able to switch my computer audio to my phone audio, so hopefully I'm coming over a little bit better, so audio-wise. So Alex says that's pretty impressive, some of the marketing material that we have there. And folks, yeah, this is part of what you get as your entire business package. And obviously, we're going to be talking about the training workshop, but Patrick, you kind of kicked off a little bit today, the marketing part of the training, which obviously includes everything that we're talking about right here.
So Eric is starting out by saying, well, Patrick, what will I get and learn in 5 days? So let's talk about that for a moment, folks, because, part of what we say is unique about American Business Systems is that we actually do live training. Now, here's why. There's a very important reason why we do that, because some people need to be able to sit and ask questions during their training directly to, a live instructor. They also like the interaction between them and the other people that are in the classroom. Sometimes people will ask questions that you are sitting there thinking, well, I'm glad they asked that question. I hadn't thought of that. And so it's a great interactive. There's also exercises that you do with other people during that. And so it's a very interactive, that's why we call it a workshop. So having said that, what do you get and what can you learn in 5 days? Well, let me start with this. By the end of this training, folks, just 5 days. It starts at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, so you want to fly in on Sunday and get to the hotel, get your room, get settled down, get a night's sleep, and then the next morning, 8 o'clock, we start. Then we go all the way till 5 or 5:30 every day except for Friday. On Friday, we wrap up and graduate you and certify you by about 1 o'clock on Friday. So you have plenty of time to get to the airport and get a flight and get back home for Friday night and the weekend. So even though it's 4.5 days, technically, we squeeze in here enough hours of training so that it literally is a 5-day training in most classroom situations. But by the end of that, you'll be certified as a medical revenue manager. Now, that's flyer that you see on the left-hand side there, the revenue cycle management, that's one of the flyers that you'll get. You'll notice there's a space in the bottom right-hand corner there where you'll be able to put your own company name and contact information, logo, whatever you want there on that. But this is a generic flyer that tells the office manager that we help with the revenue cycle management. Now, that's a term that office managers in practices are familiar with. The revenue cycle is everything to do with getting the money in for the doctor, from the insurance companies, from the government agencies like Medicare and Medicaid, even from the patients themselves. We have a system that actually collects the money automatically from the patients. You're not doing any phone calls to patients or anything like that. And that's why we call it revenue cycle management. That's why we're the only company in the United States that certifies people as medical revenue managers, not just medical billers, but people who are actually managing the revenue. Now, I know you find this hard to believe, but by the end of that week, folks, you will know more than 95% of all the office managers out there. You'll know more about the revenue cycle than they do.
Patrick, I know that one of the things that you were talking about is that, after they get through with this training on Friday, they have learned a lot. And one of the things that we're showing here on the screen is what's called the revenue cycle management circle here. And I think let's kind of talk about that because it talks about starting with a claim. And the way I like to talk about this is that it's more than just medical billing. We start teaching you what happens when the patient actually gets engaged with that doctor, all the way to the time when that patient payment actually comes into the doctor, and then the insurance actually pays the doctor. So that's what's known as the full revenue cycle management.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to read there, but I can tell you what it says right below that start of a claim. The yellow section there says patient registration. Now, you can do that yourself, of course, but the registration for a patient is sometimes done right there in the office, of course, when they show up. And so you can get access to the doctor's staff into our cloud-based system. So they're in there the same time you're in there. In fact, you can have a dozen people in there all at one time. It doesn't matter how many people you have as users, but they can do the registration right there. The patients can also do the registration, can't they, Eric, on the patient portal ahead of time?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then insurance eligibility. Touch on that just for a second, Eric, because to me, that's an awesome thing that we have built into our system.
You bet. Folks, it's like making sure that the doctor's going to get paid by the insurance from that patient before the patient's ever seen by the doctor. So it's going out and electronically checking insurance eligibility inside the system to say, okay, if Patrick Phillips is coming to see the doctor today, I want to make sure that if he's with Blue Cross Blue Shield, that he's still with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, because once he sees the doctor, that's when we got to do the billing. And if there's a problem with that insurance, it's best to know before the patient is seen by the doctor, so we can correct all of that information so the doctor doesn't see a patient and what I consider to have a non-revenue time slot. Because imagine if Mr. Phillips is no longer with Blue Cross Blue Shield, maybe he's with Aetna. It'd be nice to know that before he gets seen by the doctor.
Yeah,
because
otherwise
that's a late payment, and sometimes maybe never even refiled.
Yes, that's right. So the doctor's actually losing money by seeing patients if they can't check that eligibility. Now, in most offices, though, Eric, aren't they just picking up the phone and hoping they can get a hold of the insurance company, and they wait for 15 minutes, and by that time you're already seeing the doctor and you're out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It can certainly happen that way.
I have one person say they're still having connectivity issues. Folks, I think we've solved it. Anybody else that's having problems, let us know through the question box there. But if you're having those issues, it could be that you have something running in the background, a backup going on, or something being downloaded. I'll tell you what solves everything. Turn off the computer and turn it back on. Restart your computer. That solves just about every problem that's out there. All right, now let's go to the next one there, claim submission. Folks, that's actually what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, claim submission. I mean, that's where you're doing what's called the charge entry, or getting all of those and get it out timely. There's one thing there, Patrick, that says medical coding. I know that's going to scare a lot of people right now, medical coding.
Yeah, because people think that they have to know all those codes. Folks, there's thousands of medical codes, numbers basically that are assigned to the procedures that the doctor does to help you get well, and for the actual diagnosis of what's wrong with a patient. Those are just numbers that the American Medical Association and the World Health Organization have come up with. And you don't have to know those because they're all built into our system. Remember, ours is cloud-based, so it's real time, meaning if there's ever a change in any of the codes, we've updated it in our system immediately in real time. So you do not have to have you don't have to be a certified medical coder. We have certified medical coders that do all that for you.
You bet. I mean, Patrick, we could go through this whole thing, but this is what this whole class is all about. So whether it starts with the claim submission, claim management, the accounts receivables management, and then the analytics, which is the posting of the payments and denials or anything else to go along with that. Because remember, folks, you don't get paid unless the doctor gets paid. So you too are going to make sure that all those claims are getting paid. That's all part of our system. We're going to show you the system here in just a moment and really show you how easy it all works there. But at the end of the training, Patrick, this Friday, the folks that are in the training today are going to get one of these certifications. You want to explain what the certification is and what MIRMA is all about?
Yeah, you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner that little logo, it says Medical Revenue Management Association of America. Now, folks, this is an organization established by us and our licensees nationwide that have all decided we wanted an organization that's nationwide. We are the largest organization of any kind like this in the United States that actually has certification rights for people who've gone through our training. So as you can see, it's signed there by Adam Phillips. He's the founder and CEO of MIRMA, and he is the one who helped get this thing going, up and running. And folks, it is as good as any certification that's out there. You see a lot of different things that you can get online, certified as a medical biller. This beats them all.
You bet. I mean, because not only are you getting the training, but you're getting all the resources and all the support back behind ABS. So as we kind of go through the presentation this afternoon, you're going to see what makes you a certified medical revenue manager, and that's what we're going to kind of embark on. It starts with, Patrick, this whole thing about iClaim and the training that you get there, but this is kind of the heartbeat of everything that's happening here. We're not necessarily selling the software, but the software is what makes you different than anybody else out there.
Yeah, now you can see it's running on what looks like maybe an Apple computer there. They took the logo off the Apple, but it runs on any platform, folks. It doesn't matter whether it's a Mac computer, a Windows computer, a Chromebook, anything that connects to the internet that has an internet connection, like a browser of some kind, you can get onto our system. We give you the credentials, of course. Everybody has their own login, ID, and password. And then once you're in, you're using our system in real time. It's just like when you go on to do your real-time banking online. That is software that's actually running in the cloud. And so you're able to connect to us anytime from any computer. Now, here's the great thing, Eric, I think, and that is that you don't download anything to your computer. You don't install anything on your computer. Folks, I promise you, you could go with a brand new laptop to your local McDonald's, connect to their Wi-Fi, and get in and start doing the billing. That's the great thing about our system. So people have done that. They've gone to Hawaii for a month and just sit there on the beach and run their business using their laptop and Wi-Fi connection at the hotel.
All right, so I'm going to start taking some questions here, Patrick. And Eric actually has asked one other question. I'm going to go back up to his question because we had a lot of things come in. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so actually he's put a couple of those in, so I'm going to go back up. So let's do this. How are we different than the competition in the place? And that's why I wanted to ask this question right now, because of what we're talking about iClaim. So Patrick, what makes us different than the competition out there?
Well, one of the things is that you can go out and actually market this to any type of doctor out there that's currently filing on what's called the 1500 form. Now, this is just a standard form the government came up with that if you can fill out this one piece of paper, one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, then you can file a claim with Medicare and Medicaid. So all the insurance companies now use that as well. So what I'm saying is it's not just private practice doctors, but all the specialists as well. Eric, we show a list of those at the beginning of our training, and there's probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 dozen different ones.
Yeah, you bet. Now, let me just I'm going to go back to Eric's question, because he's actually asked 3 or 4 questions here. I went all the way back up to the front. He was asking what makes us different from a competition level from our competitors. What separates American business systems from the other competitors out there who are trying to sell a medical billing?
Well, I'm sorry. I deleted a bunch of. I thought those were all just people putting in their names, and I deleted that question, I guess. So I missed that one, Eric.
That's okay.
But there's 3 main things, folks, that make us really, really different. One of them I've already talked about earlier when you weren't on here, Eric. That was the live training. The fact that we do live training, that's very important, that you have that interaction with the instructors and with the classmates that are in there. Number 2, we also have, of course, our lifetime support. That means, folks, you never pay us for support, ever. As long as you're billing through our system, you are an ABS licensee and deserve support. And that means forever. So yes, for the last 25 years, we've supported some of our licensees that started way back then at no additional cost. There's no monthly charge. There's no yearly charge. Be sure and ask about that, because that could be very, very important. And the other thing, of course, that we have, Eric, is our clearinghouse. The clearinghouse is usually a third-party company that you have to send your claims through. They're the ones that make sure it's all the way it should be and forward it on to the insurance companies. We have that built into our system. We're the only ones that have that built in to our system. We are the clearinghouse.
That is one of the biggest ones, Eric, is that it's just obviously everything that Patrick talked about so far is huge whenever it comes to how we separate ourselves from everybody else. But the iClaim platform is not only used by the doctor, the office, and the billing company, but on the billing side and the front office side, which includes all the way back over the doctor side, that clearinghouse is actually running in the background. As you can see way over on the left-hand side over there where it says doctor, and if you look down there, you might be able to see these little yellow dots over there. Those little yellow dots is going to indicate back to the doctor on their EMR side whether that patient actually has insurance eligibility verified. That is one of the things, that's one of the key components there that is a huge separator. And also, let me say this, a lot of the billing platforms or practice management systems that are out there, you'll always still see, even some of the ones that are out there currently, still have that Microsoft Windows feel to it, kind of just those chunky things there. As you'll see, as we kind of go through our system here, you're going to see the fluidness of the way that our system works right here. Now, on day 1, Patrick, of our training workshop, kind of getting some of these questions that people are going to start asking, well, how am I going to walk away knowing how to do medical billing? I thought we would show kind of what happens there on day 1. They start off with hands-on training.
Yes, I mean, we literally bring in laptops and put them right there in front of you so that you are doing medical billing by the end of the first day. That's how simple and user-friendly our system is, folks. As you can see, Eric's got a screenshot there showing one of the things we hand out is that form you see on the left. It's called a super bill. You probably get one of those every time you go to the doctor. And they've circled some codes. Those are those medical codes that I mentioned earlier. So when you get this from the doctor, you can get it physically or electronically through our system. But when you get that, you then enter that right into the boxes that are right there in our system. So literally, you are a highly paid data entry specialist. And of course, you're also putting in the patient information from the form that the patients fill out when they come to the office. one also. So those two pieces of paper, folks, literally that's all the information you need. What about the patient and their insurance, of course, and then on the right there, that super bill information as to what the doctor found wrong with the patient and what they did. So as you can see here, here's an actual shot of one of our classrooms where people have those laptops in front of them. And they're actually putting in the data. Yes, we connect through the Wi-Fi there at the hotel and are literally doing this live as you see it right there. I think Eric's having problems right now because there's, like he said, there's some storms here in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. Here's another shot of people that are using the laptops there. As you can see, we put one laptop between every two people. So you've got a partner that you're actually sharing that computer with and guiding each other as we go through these exercises. We'll give you plenty of time to put in data and learn how to use it there. There's another shot of our instructor, Cynthia Anderson, and my chief operations officer, Jordan Ransom, that's there at the training usually most of the time too. Okay, let's see. Here's another shot. This is another shot. We just got a few shots of different ways we set up the classroom there, depending on how many people are in the class. And as you can see, we throw that right up on the screen there so that people can see what they should be seeing on their laptops. So we're guiding you step by step, pointing out there on that screen with a little highlighter pointer thing, exactly where you should be and what you should be doing. It's very hands-on. It's very step-by-step training. Okay, here's some screenshots now. We wanted you to see up close the actual screenshots of what our system looks like, so you see a little bit closer what the menus look like. Notice we always have announcements right there on the front page. If there's any changes or updates, you're kept up with that. And then once you've put in a patient's name, you can actually tell it that you want to enter the charges, do the claims, make payments. You know, all those choices are available right there from that top menu that you see. You can even go to a place where you can actually put in the patient chart information and get this directly from the insurance company. So the great thing is that we can pull information straight out of the insurance company's computer database and put the data in. That saves you having to put it in and make sure that it's accurate as well. Again, we go through this step by step in the class to make it very step by step easy for you to follow in the classroom. Here's another shot that shows you we're using the ICD-10. Those are the codes that have to do with the diagnosis, and they're actually right there on your screen, so you can see not only the number but the description of what that is. Now, this shot is actually a shot of the EHR, our electronic medical record system. So the doctor usually sees this on their iPad or tablet when they're actually seeing the patients. They can pick the codes that they want right there that pop up as they're seeing that. So for example, if they find that a patient has a cough, they can punch a button to find that code, the R05 there for a cough. And then when they decide that they want to actually do the billing, you do on the billing on your end, you're filling out this screen, which tells the computer exactly what the codes are for the procedures that the doctor proceeded to do for the patient. Let me see if I can get back to some of the questions here too, because I have a lot of those coming in today. What if a person can't make it to the seminar next week? Now, Yvonne, we're not actually having training next week. We're doing it this week. So our next training is coming up, I think, June 10th. We'll tell you a little bit more about that here towards the end of this. If you can't make the webinar that we're doing, though, next Wednesday, we can show you here at the end. We're going to let you sign up for that next week's webinar, and you'll get emails with links to the recordings, because we record all of these. So let's see. Here's one from Gira. Says doctors are denied payment due to wrong coding by their aides. How does this affect us? Oh, that's a great question, because our system actually double checks all of that for you and make sure that those codes match what the diagnosis codes are. So that's a kind of a hard one to explain, but you're right. In general, there's a lot of claims, folks, that people send in that are rejected by the insurance companies. In fact, I've got a poll here that I'm going to put up on the screen. Let's just see if you guys can see this poll. I think it's, oh, here we go. I pushed this button right here. Okay, now look at your screen if you're not paying attention to what we're doing right now, and you'll see the little poll I put up there. Now, you would only know this probably if you attended some of our previous webinars, but one of those numbers is correct. That is, nationwide, for all the claims that are submitted by medical practices, what is the average rate a rejection rate, they call it. In other words, they submit a claim, they submit 10 claims, how many of them come back? So it's a percentage. I'm watching there as some of you are selecting those choices there, and I see that a lot of you are choosing the wrong answer. Well, that's good to know that you are being educated here today, right? So we can give you real statistics on this, folks. This is part of what your business coach can do for you. That is, the person who sent you the email for this webinar, get back with them, and they can give you actual quotes from industry publications that tell you what that figure is. Okay, it looks like everybody has stopped. I'm going to close the poll right now, and I'm going to share that result with you right now on the screen. Most of you got it right. It's 34% of claims submitted initially are rejected. Now, what do you think happens to a lot of those claims, folks? A lot of those claims are basically just set aside. In other words, they don't do anything to follow up on them, a huge portion of those. So that's money that's lost. Now, the way they justify that is, well, at the end of the year, the doctor can write that off on their taxes. Believe me, they would rather have that money in the bank account because they can find other ways to not pay taxes. All right, let's see. Here's another one here. Oh, that's just a question about, all right. Susan says, what exactly are we investing in? Wow, that's a tough one, Susan. I can tell you what, if you go to our website that you initially probably found us on absystems.com, there's a menu choice at the top there called what is the investment? And that will tell you not only what the investment is, but exactly what you get for that. You get the live training workshop, lifetime support, over 2,000 pieces of personalized marketing materials, and ongoing training and webinars at no cost forever. We've got a website that you'll have access to that has literally hundreds of hours of training that we've posted in the past years on that you can go back and watch, as well as new ones that we do on a regular basis for our licensees. So you're starting your own business. It's kind of like a franchise. Think of it as a franchise, Susan, but without the bad things in franchises. We don't have any territories. You're not restricted to a certain territory. You can sign up doctors anywhere in the United States, and there's no royalties. You don't pay us anything after you pay that initial sign-up fee. All right, let me go back to the slides here. You can see it filling in some of the codes there as if somebody's typing that in. But that basically all fills in automatically once you put in the code. It'll put in the fee and the charges and so forth automatically for you there. And then, of course, you hit the button that you see circled at the bottom there now, create claim, and boom, it's gone. Now, I'm going to talk to you just for a second here about the EMRX. This is our electronic medical records. Folks, if a doctor doesn't have an EMR system right now, ours is the leading edge, award-winning system that's out there. We have a technology partner that powers this for us. It's private labeled for you, so nobody else in your area has it but you, EMRX. And it's usable, as you can see there, we're illustrating it on an iPad, I think, but it could be any tablet that the doctor is actually using right there in the office. I have an iPad right here, and I'll just show you as I hold it up here. You can see, I think you can see this in the video there. Yeah, that if the doctor were seeing the patient, they would literally be holding this and just tapping things right on the iPad, which would be putting it directly into our cloud-based system, which means you on your end have that information in real time on your end from your office. So it's a wonderful way for the doctor to interact with the patient. I see Eric has popped back on today. Hey, welcome.
Hopefully I've reset everything. I've reset the internet. I've reset everything. Hopefully it's a better connection.
It already is. All right, so Eric, we were just talking about the EMRX. You just gave a demo yesterday, I think, to the live training class there, didn't you?
I certainly did. Yeah, it's impressive to watch the training and the demonstration of the EMRX, just simply because it does its own coding, as you were probably already saying, as I was kind of coming in there. And it's impressive to know that a doctor can do this, get the information over to the biller, you as a billing company, and then seeing that information kind of go from there and then get that doctor paid pretty quickly.
Yeah, and since it's in real time, folks, there's no delays at all. When the doctor puts this information in, it's there instantaneously for you to do the billing on the back end for the doctor. So there's no paper involved here. This is all done, again, completely electronically over the internet. It's a tremendous system.
Yeah.
And as this little summary says, it's a cloud-based all-in-one certified by the government, of course, Medicare, EHR technology. And it's a system that's fully integrated with the iClaim system, which is on your end, what you're using to actually do the billing.
Yeah, and when you talk about integrated, I think people, Patrick, might think, okay, we plug that into another system, and a lot of other systems are like that, where they actually plug into another EMR system, and ours is not like that. I don't even know if integrated is the right word, because it's all one system.
Yeah, it's one system, meaning it was written by the same programmers that are in that little room that we throw pizza and Pepsi into. They basically sat in there doing the programming for this entire system. Even our patient portal is all written, so there's no plugging things together. That's very important that you realize that there are companies out there that sell some sort of training like this, but they're really just having their software, which comes on a CD that you have to install on your computer. You have to put another piece of that on the doctor's computer, and then they use a different EHR that's just an open source EHR that they've plugged into theirs, and it's very, very awkward, and it will never, ever, it's kind of like putting things together with bubble gum and baling wire. That's what we say here in Texas.
Well, Patrick, I know that one of the services we're going to talk about here in just a moment is what's called Compliancy Guard, and I think I made mention to you that I've been working with that. But Patrick, what's so interesting, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that compliancy is a huge issue right now, and we're talking about HIPAA compliance. We're making sure that the doctors are going to be under more audits come 2019 and 2020 than ever before, especially with their EHR. I would not recommend any doctor to have an open sourced EHR ever.
Oh, no. An open source just means that it's free. It didn't cost anything. And yet it also means that there's constant updates. Other people can go in and make changes to it. And you never know whether it's going to really work with your software the way it should. With ours, it has to work. There is no buck passing to anybody else. We are the people who actually make sure that those claims get through. And, you know, I asked that question earlier, Eric, I think you were still on there, about what the average rejection rate was. Anyway, it's 34% for most other practices. With our system, folks, it's less than 2%.
Right.
Yeah. Now, that's the difference that the doctor sees in their revenue, you see, because whether those claims get resubmitted or not, that's up for grabs, whether the office manager has time to do it and so forth. But with ours, it's 2%. Now, that's a big difference in the money that's left on the table for the doctor. Eric, what about?
And it's all because. Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead. Were you going to ask a question?
This screen is just, again, a screenshot of the EHR. I think we're having to move right along here, Eric, because we had so many problems. So I'm going to go to the next one here that just talks about how it connects to all the labs that are out there. Why don't you just mention a little bit about that?
Yeah, folks, when you go see the doctor, they may have you go get blood work drawn or whatever. This connects to the lab, and then the information comes back into here, and then that, since it's all one system, it also connects also to you as a patient, to your patient portal there as well. And not only can the doctors do the labs, but they can also e-prescribe all their meds, your meds, directly from their iPhone or Android tablet or whatever they're utilizing. And I think just some of the other screenshots that we've got coming up there are just other little screenshots. Now, as Patrick kind of goes through these next few screens here on EMRX, if you'd like to, get back with your business coach, because I think it's one thing of us kind of showing you screenshots here on our webinar, and even though we had a little bit of technical difficulty, there's nothing like seeing it in real time. So get back with your business coach, ask for a demonstration. We would love to show you a demo of how the continuity of everything working, from the billing to the EHR to the patient portal, giving everything out for you as a biller, to make you get to the point where you are confident at the end of this training that you can go out and go build your business with our support.
Well, and by the way, this demo that we will show you one-on-one, we'll get on a go-to meeting basically like this, but just with you. And we'll go through this and answer all your questions about our system. You can pound us with anything you want to, and we'll answer all your questions. But once you're a licensee, once you have a doctor who's interested, and you've done the practice analysis that we teach you to do, we will give that doctor a demo. Our staff does that for you at no extra cost. And so you can be on there, of course, watching it as well, hearing their questions, how we answer the questions. All of that, folks, is included in your license package. I don't know of any other company that does that, Eric, but of course, we do it because we make money, of course, on the back end. On all the claims that go through our system, we're making money, and so that's why we can do that. You don't pay us anything. The doctor doesn't pay us anything. That's all a part of our support for you as a licensee. Eric, what about dentists? I think we have a question here from Alex. I thought we'd just touch on that. You want to talk about dentists?
You bet. Well, yeah, there's dental billing, there's medical billing, and then what I call hospital billing. So I think those are the big three areas where a lot of people wonder if I can do regular doctor billing, can I do dental billing, and can I do hospital billing? Folks, what we focus on is physician billing. These are going to be your doctors, your nurse practitioners, your physician's assistants, surgeons. It could be anything from a chiropractor all the way to a cardio surgeon. That's what we focus in on. And the reason is because those folks are dealing with medical codes, hypertension, acne, whatever else that might be going on with you. That is separate from dental codes. So those are two separate types of codes. So there are no dental codes inside of iClaim. Then whenever it gets to hospital billing, that's what's on a completely different form. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why can I do dental billing with iClaim, or why can I do hospital billing with iClaim? Folks, is because we understand where our power is and where we feel like we're the best at, and that's in physician billing. And again, let's talk about that, Patrick. Whenever we teach our marketing, we're teaching how you do the marketing directly to a doctor, not necessarily to a hospital, because it could take sometimes a year and a half to actually win a hospital account, let alone trying to get one doctor.
Yeah, the red tape, the committees that it has to go through. Besides, they've invested thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars probably in their billing system. So folks, don't let anybody fool you. The hospital market is not something that you would want to go after, at least not at first. Now, we do have technology that can be put into hospitals, but that's something down the line. We're not going to say that that's something you should go out and do. Believe me, there's plenty of private practice doctors out there that you can sign up first as well. Okay, here's a question about franchise fees. Let's see what this says here.
You bet.
Yeah, besides franchise fees, this is Ruchit says, what other fees are associated? Any monthly fees, any annual fees? To us as a company, nothing whatsoever. Now, there are fees that the doctor pays you to access the system. Remember, he and his staff can use the system as well as you. So the doctor is paying those fees. Usually you wrap that into the percentage that you charge for what you collect for the doctor. So that's the only fees that are involved there, but nothing else to us ever.
Right, absolutely nothing else. Patrick, I know that we are getting kind of close to the end here, and I'm just going to get past some of these other things here. Yeah. Let's keep answering some of these questions here, and I'll go ahead and get ready to kind of close this out here in just a few minutes.
Okay, Carlos says, I assume that we buy the platform and the right to use it with no hidden fees. That's correct, Carlos. Now remember, I just mentioned that there are fees that the doctor is paying, not you. If the doctor had their own software, if they had their own electronic medical record system, they'll be paying a fee to that as well. We call them access fees because, again, it's month to month that they're accessing it. They're not that much, but that's not something you have to worry about because you're going to cover that in your fees to that the doctor pays to you. Here Susan says, I have a degree in HIM. Health information management, folks, is what that is. What does your company have that makes the investment worthwhile? It doesn't seem that you all have invented the wheel. I like that, Susan. You're right. There's nothing unique about this. Now, if you're asking what it would cost you to start your own medical billing business, to develop all the marketing tools that we have, to become a co-author with a doctor, as part of your marketing tools, to have lifetime support, access to our clearinghouse, and so forth. Yes, you could create all that on your own. It would cost you a whole lot more than $27,000. Just our marketing materials, we spent over $100,000 developing that. So You have to look at it, Susan, like a franchise. Let me ask you this. Do you know how to make a sandwich? I do. But I'm not going to start a sandwich shop. I would buy a franchise, like Subway. And yes, I would pay a whole lot more than $27,000 for that. But the point is that you can duplicate anything that's out there as a franchise if you have the time and if you have the money to do that. So it's not all about how smart you are, what kind of degrees you have. I'm a college dropout personally, but you know what? My wife and I made a lot of money doing medical billing for doctors because we developed the correct tools to do that, and now we have the technology that's unlike anything else that's out there. So
and I'll just add in there, Susan. I get you. There is a lot of people who've come with coding backgrounds into here, health information management degrees and everything else. And again, even though that we haven't invented the wheel, there's a lot of people out there who try to reinvent the wheel when they go to marketing a medical billing company. And so some of the things that we're showing you here, whether it's the marketing aspect or the support that you're getting back on the back end of how we help you get these doctors, that's the asset that you're buying here, getting here from ABS.
Yeah. Khalid says, how much does it cost to start a medical billing business? Well, I just mentioned, Khalid, our fee is $27,000. It's actually $26,990, but let's say $27,000, right? And that is what it would cost for you to get involved with us, to go through our training, to have our support and so forth. But since we have a money back guarantee, you can hardly go wrong to find out if this is something that you want to do. Alex says, what is the typical cash capital outlay from a client to join ABS? I think what you're asking, Alex, is what would it cost for a medical practice to get involved with you as an ABS licensee? Because they don't invest with us, they invest with you. That depends on what you charge. You can charge a setup fee. We've got licensees who charge up to $5,000 for a setup fee. The actual costs that if you just got it down to the minimal cost, they wouldn't have to invest $1,000 if that's all you wanted to charge. But anything you charge above that, of course, is yours.
Okay, here we go. I muted myself. I had to make a quick cough there. So where did you leave off there, Patrick?
Well, Susan says something about a wagon developed one client. I'm not sure what that means, Susan. Maybe that didn't come through. Oh, you said who developed iClient? I think you mean iClaim. That's our billing system. Our technology partner is NextGen. NextGen is the largest medical developer out there, and they're the ones that power our system behind the scenes. What else?
I'm looking there. There was one there from Henry. He says, would you please address my question, please? And I'm not sure if we see it, Henry. So if you want to retype that back in there.
I see it, Eric. I see it up here. Let me go back up here.
Okay.
He says, will we be able to buy a hot list, not a cold list, from you, or even pay you for the appointment arrangements to meet with the prospects? Okay, Henry, sounds like you've been talking to some companies out there that promise that they'll give you a list of doctors who are hot. They're ready to buy. If there was such a list, of course, they'd be charging a whole lot more than what they're charging you probably to get started with them. There is no such list. Henry, what we do is we teach you we don't give you a fish, we teach you how to fish. In other words, we're going to teach you how to find those people in your area. Now, if you're asking if there's a list of doctors in your area, yes, we can show you where to find lists of all the doctors in your area. But there is no company out there that can provide that for you. Believe me, we've had people say that they've actually had to sue various companies because they said that they had a list that they were going to give them. Anybody who's promised you that, that's a bunch of hot air.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Henry, there, to have a list, if we had lists, we would be just selling the list. I tell you that, because it would be, that's what we would be selling for sure.
Well, that, or, we could, if we had that list, Eric, couldn't we just sign up all the doctors ourselves?
Certainly we could.
Yeah. Marketing is believe me, this is a very specific way of marketing that we've developed over the last 25 years, folks, through trial and error. We know what it takes to get in front of a doctor, and that's part of what you're paying for is the proprietary information that we share about our marketing.
You bet. You bet. Let me kind of get back to over here, Patrick. I know that we've talked about this once before. Obviously, we're having our training workshop this week. It is held here in Dallas. I thought I'd go through some of this information and then let you do our 100% money back guarantee part of the presentation today. And folks,
Sure.
as you're thinking about this, you're going to want to fly into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The hotel that we actually host the training will pick you up from the hotel, from the airport, and bring you back. As even Patrick mentioned earlier, that we start at 8 o'clock every morning, 8 a.m. Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5, and then on Friday we let you out a little bit earlier so you can catch those flights. Lunch is provided every day by ABS, but the licensing fee does not include your travel or hotel. We do get that question asked quite a bit, so I thought I'd just share that with you real quickly. But I know, Patrick, one of the things that you pride yourself on, again, is the money back guarantee. I'm going to put that slide up here because this is one of those other things that kind of separates us from other competitions out there.
Yeah, folks, think about this just for a moment. We let you come to this live training workshop here in Dallas area, and at the end of that week, during that training, for any reason, you just don't think this business is right for you, or have no reason whatsoever, you can ask for all your money back, and we'll give you every penny of that license fee, that $26,990. You get it all back. Now, we've done that a handful of times over the last 25 years, but believe me, in general, we know what we're offering, we know what we have, and we're confident enough to be able to offer that. If a company doesn't offer you a money back guarantee of some kind, something's wrong, because once you've sent that money to that company, it's a done deal. You're not going to ever see another penny of that. With us, at least we have the what's the word? the braveness to say, hey,
Yeah.
If you come down to our training and you don't like it, you can get your money back. Now, you have spent the money that it took to get here to Dallas. Maybe you've got some points on your airline, so it didn't cost you anything. But then you've got to stay at the hotel. We require that you stay at the hotel that we do the training at. It's a Marriott Suite hotel. Very nice, right across the street from the Texas' largest mall. So you've got plenty of time to go over and relax in the evenings. But this is probably the smallest investment you will ever invest, folks, to find out if something is real. And this is as real as it gets.